Hello everyone, so welcome again to a new topic of the strategic management, and this time it is about the monitoring, evaluating, and taking corrective actions. So under these lessons, we will discuss the following topics. First is the need to monitor, considerations in reporting and monitoring activities. We also have strategy audit, and the last one is the balance scorecards as evaluating tool. The objectives of the lessons are the following. First, discuss the importance of monitoring and implementation and execution of strategy. Describe some tools in doing monitoring tasks. And explain the basic concept of strategy audit and balance scorecard. So after going through the long and meticulous process of the environmental scanning, diba, this is the first step in the strategic management wherein we have to analyze first or scan the environment, whether it is internal or external environment. We do some techniques. We have discussed and explained different techniques how we should scan the environment. The next one is we set the vision, mission, and strategic goals, objectives, the core values of the organization. Once we analyze that, we craft strategies. And those crafted strategies, syempre, we use to implement and execute the strategies. So all the long process of this become meaningless if hindi po natin siya i-monitor, i-evaluate, and hindi natin, kung applicable man, is mag-take ng corrective actions for the things na hindi nagkaroon ng effectiveness or hindi naging tama in the process. So dapat meron ding corrective actions. So bakit kailangan natin ng monitor? The need to monitor. It becomes a must and mandatory task to track the actual performance of the business in the context of being a profit-seeking institutions. So, mawawala ng saysay yung mga pinaghirapan ng organizations in doing the environmental scanning, up to the implementation process, kung hindi natin malalaman o hindi natin masasabi na naging effective ba? Anong nangyari? Tama ba yung ginawa? Tama ba yung execution ng strategies? Anong effects sa organization? Diba? So all this, malalaman natin siya if we do the monitoring, we do the evaluation. Okay? So while monitoring and evaluating the execution of the strategy is considered the last of the tasks needed to complete the strategic management task as espoused by many authors, but actually, it is not the end of the process. Rather, the monitoring the performance is a necessary task. Yan, kailangan natin yan. That needs to be done continuously to be able to continually pursue the business in a competitive manner and in a fashion much better than before, given the experience of the past. So by doing the monitoring and tracking the performance, the business managers or even the owners or the top management, malalaman nila ano ba yung naging result, ano yung naging epekto, ano yung fruits of their labors and efforts. Or marirealize nila ano yung mga pagkakamali, yung mga maling nagawa or yung mga shortcomings, di ba? So, knowing the actual direction of the business can lead towards modification and improvements or radical changes that may be necessary as dictated by the actual performance of the business as it wades through the competitive world of the business. So in the long run, after na malaman natin naging tama ba or naging hindi ba tama, on the next cycle ng business, kapag kailangan ulit natin or nangyari ulit kung ano man yung naging programs or projects na in-implement, ano man yung mga strategies na in-implement, the next thing around, alam na natin na effective ito pag itong ginawa or kaya pag ganitong ginawa, hindi pala siya tama. So, kailangan i-modify natin. Okay, so monitoring aspect covers the set of activities needed to keep an updated of the level of implementation and execution of the strategy. It comes in the form of obtaining quantifiable parameters from concerned strategic business units or functional groups. So one example of the functional groups, we have the sales performance, the market shares, and others, to be able to compare the figures with pre-established objectives. We have here the example of the diagram or the monitoring tool. Ito yung ginagamit actually sa accounting and finance. Ayan. So monthly, ginagawa po namin ito to monitor ano ba yung naging expenses na ng company. Actual versus the budget. Okay? So as you can see here, we have the list of the expenditures na ginagamit ng company. And then, syempre, yung code sa accounting, diba? Kailangan natin yan for easy tracking and easy recording of the transaction. Then, the annual budget. So, magkano ba yung annual budget ng company in terms of this expenditure? Then, ano yung budget to date? So, kagaya nito, for the month of January to March to, first quarter. So, meaning as of March po yung data natin. Yung actual expenses up to date, magkano din. Then we compare. Kung magkano yung variance niyan, kagaya nito, nag-negative na siya, over na. March pa lang, as of March pa lang. So, we normally explain in details bakit. So, on my experience, monthly namin ginagawa to. Monthly merong meeting with the top management, and then quarterly meron namang board meeting. Diba? Ina-explain yan in detail, especially lahat ng nag-over sa budget. Yung over 100% utilization. Bakit? Anong reason? Why nag-over ka na sa budget? Kaya nga natin tinatawag ng budget, di ba? We should work on the budget. So, merong tracking of the expenses. So, this is the normal thing pagdating sa finance and accounting. But aside from that, hindi lang ganito yung ginagawa, no? Hindi lang more on the finances ang monitoring. So, monitoring and evaluation task is more than just keeping the tab with figures or sales and other financial data, but also taking note of the critical success and failure factors, as well as other driving and constraining factors along the way. In particular, it is tracking down how close or how far the organization is from its monetary targets. So the monitoring will give the top management the idea on the timing of activities and realization of deliverables. Siyempre, pag over ka sa target mo, kung financial yung pinag-uusapan natin, maybe merong considerations dun sa other, meron for sure natatamaan yan na other factors na pwedeng maging constraint on the part of the organizations in doing other things. Kaya dapat minomonitor natin lahat ng activities. Okay, so going through the activities of monitoring, evaluating, and addressing control measures can pinpoint the strength, ano yung strength and weaknesses of the strategy. Okay, and then paano tayo dapat mag-improve. So, pwede rin gumamit ng charts and milestone indicators. So, other than figures and contextual or qualitative parameters used to indicate results and business performance, charts and other forms of milestone indicators are useful tools, especially for purposes of informing the top management and the board of directors of the company. So we have the example of these charts. And this is a Gantt chart showing targets and actual status. So, as you can see, meron tayong the duration, gaano katagal dapat ginagawa yung isang task, and then kailan nag-start, kailan nag-end. So, as manager, we have to monitor kung mahihit ba yung target. Kung hindi, merong other factors na maaapektuhan if we are not hitting the target on time. Diba? So, these Gantt charts can help the managers and top management kung ano ang dapat nilang gawin in cases na hindi na-hit yung target. Paano pag hindi? Anong dapat gawin? Do they need to hire other personnel to do the task? Diba? So, burdensome ba siya on the part of the employee? So, yan. So, maganda yung Gantt chart na nakikita kung ano yung targets and ano na yung naging actual. So, similar kind of tool can also be used for meetings and similar events at functional or operational level, and more so at the top management level. So the era of computerization and widespread of use of commercial software provide a variety of commercially available tools for monitoring progress or projects or activities covering many areas from engineering to finance. So napakadami na actually apps that can help the top management to do the monitoring and evaluation of a certain project and programs. Okay, so the next thing is we need to consider in reporting the monitoring activities. Documenting and reporting, monitoring organizational performance are some kind of research and field activities that may help explain the results or impacts observed in the course of doing monitoring activities. So mahalaga na nagdo-document po ang company when regards to the monitoring and the evaluation of the activity. Kasi nakikita natin, 'di ba? These relevant documents can be used on the other sa mga susunod na panahon. Okay? So, pwede siyang balikan natin, magiging references siya on the part of the company, anong nangyari on this part, then they can adjust on the next ones na nangyari ulit yung ganitong bagay. So, to be truly relevant and meaningful, reporting monitoring activities should be take into account the following. First, accurate, timely information is essential to guide action. Next is prompt feedback on implementation activities is needed before actions are fully completed, and key strategic performance indicators must be tracked as often as practical using barometers of overall performance. So we need to consider in reporting monitoring activities. Then another example of a useful tool is the strategy audit. Especially we will become a part of the accounting or finance unit in the future. So a useful tool for assessing the relevance and success of strategic management initiatives is the strategy audit attributed to Wheelen and Hunger 2004. So the strategy audit is essentially an examination or assessment of the effort of a business organization to document the strategic management agenda of the company. The strategy audit provides a checklist of questions by area or issue that enables a systematic analysis of various corporate functions and activities to be made. According to Wheelen and Hunger, they consider strategy audit as simply a type of management audit and extremely useful as a diagnostic tool to pinpoint corporation-wide problem areas and to highlight organizational strength and weaknesses. So, ang strategy audit, nakakatulong siya para malaman natin, no, or ma-determine natin bakit ang isang certain area in creating a problem for a corporation or kaya naman yung certain area can help generate solutions to the problem. While pag minsan yung strategy audit, it appears as a tool for analyzing the firm's position that may serve to strategic planning exercise. So ito yung isang useful tool na pwede nating gamitin to evaluate the organizational performance. So normally there is a checklist kung tinitingnan kung on the standard ba si company or the certain project. Another tool na pwede natin gamitin for evaluation is the balance scorecard. So a balance scorecard espoused by Kaplan and Norton, they argues that non-financial indicators are important because research has shown that they constitute anywhere between 50 to 80% of the firm's total value. So a balanced scorecard combines financial measures that indicate the results of the actions already taken with operational units on customer satisfaction, internal process, and the drivers of a future financial performance. So dati kasi ang tinitingnan lang natin is the financial performance, but as the audit or the evaluation of the organization evolves, hindi lang financial ang importante, pati yung mga operational factors, tinitingnan na rin siya or ina-evaluate na rin siya. Okay? So ito yung isa sa maganda na na-discover ni Kaplan and Norton, the balance scorecard. So sa halip na ang tinitingnan lang natin or ang minomonitor lang natin is yung financial performance, kasama na din yung monitoring natin kung ano ang ginagawa ng corporation. So included syempre sa scorecard yung customer satisfaction and also the internal process. Okay? And lahat naman yun, may effect naman directly with the financial performance. So the example of the balance scorecard espoused by Kaplan and Norton is the following. So it combines the financial measures that indicate the results of the actions already taken with operational units on customer satisfaction, internal processes, and the corporation's innovations and improvement activities, which is the drivers of future financial performance. So as you can see in the strategy, we have the four objectives or goal, and it targeted the financial, the customer, the learning and growth, and the business processes. So this diagram, kinuha ko siya in the site of smartgrow.com, balance scorecard. Okay, so under the financial, tinitingnan natin, how should we appear to our shareholders? So this aspect should address the matters of how should the firm appears in the view of the shareholders and investors. Pagdating naman sa customers, so how should we appear to our customers? So this aspect deals with the concern on how the firm should be viewed by the customers, while in the learning and growth, these matters addresses the challenges of the need to continue to improve and create the value and the business processes. So it concerns with what the business concerns must excel in. So ano yung mga dapat na i-develop na new products or paano natin more ma-understand yung mga customers natin, so on and so forth. So these are the things na included in the balance scorecard. So paano natin tayo gagawa ng balance scorecard? So these are the things that we have to know first is to determine the vision. So the company's main vision belongs in the center of a balanced scorecard. Then add a perspective. So to create a traditional balanced scorecard, place the four perspective in the ring around the central vision. Yung binanggit po natin kanina na apat, financial, customer, the internal business perspective, and the innovation and learning. Then we add objectives and measures. Within each perspective, define specific objectives, measures, target, and initiatives. Then we connect each piece. Link each perspectives to the others using arrows to indicate that they all interconnected when it comes to achieving the company's vision. And lastly, share and communicate. So use the balance scorecard to demonstrate how different initiatives and short-term actions are contributing to the long-term strategic objectives of the company. So for the example of this balance scorecard, we have this Smith National Bank strategy. So we mentioned the four perspectives of the company: financial, customer, internal business processes, learning and growth, okay, or the innovation and learning. So the objectives of the company, the measures, the target, and the initiatives. So this is the example of the balance scorecard. Okay. The next thing to do when we already have the balance scorecard is to evaluate or the evaluating top management. So performance of the business organization is traditionally viewed upon by the business owners, stakeholders, and investors as a matter that the top management is principally responsible. As suggested by Wheelen and Hunger 2004, the board of directors should closely evaluate the job performance of the top management, particularly the chief executive officer and the members of the top management team. Also, the management should be evaluated in the context of its responsibility to address the overall corporate profitability. We actually have the following key indicators. So to be able to appraise quantitatively the result of the business strategy applied, certain benchmarks and parameters need to be established and monitored. So some of the relevant indicators are the following: trend in sales and market share, acquiring and or retaining customers, trend in profit margins, trend in net profits, trend in return on investments, overall financial strength and credit ranking, efforts at continuous improvement activities, trend in stock price and stockholder value, image and reputation with customers, and leadership roles, technology, quality, innovation, e-commerce, etc. And the last thing to do after we evaluate is taking corrective actions. So just like any other form of plan, strategic plan developed out of going through the process of adhering to the series of activities, forming part of the strategic management task. The other critical component of the 6 strategic management tasks is to provide an opportunity to learn from shortcomings and failures. So by knowing the setbacks encountered as parties concerned, monitor the process of the business guided by the strategic plan. Concerned managers can develop options or corrective measures to put back the business on stream and on the right course. Definitely, there is no perfect strategic implementations. So sometimes there are things that we have to take it seriously that we have to correct it immediately. So these corrective actions are essential to set things back on track. Okay. So assessing or evaluating the business performance and taking corrective measures are just as important as any of the tasks in strategic management, if only to pursue specific courses of actions leading to realization of the stated vision, mission, statements. So we have actually an example of the corrective action versus a preventive action. So these are the things sometimes the company are doing. Kagaya ni OMSC, we are also doing this ISO 9001 series of 2015. So there are things na nakikita during the audit yan na kailangan i-correct agad. So yung pag nakita na siya ng audit, corrective action yon. But there are things na ginagawa naman ng mga units before the conduct of the internal audit. This is called the preventive action. So before mangyari lahat siya, so meron na silang actions taken, that is preventive action. But once naman na nakita na siya during the following tasks, example, when it is used or by doing the internal audit, yan, corrective action na ang tawag natin doon. After the problem in a process. Okay. So I think that is the end of the topic. Thank you, everyone. Any questions or comments, just message in the chat box or paki-send sa Google Classroom. So see you on the next lesson. Bye, everyone.